News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
And I'm Alan Gilbreth with darkoakmedia.com.
And I'm Maximilian, wishing a belated happy birthday to Joseph Bell, the inspiration for Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, yeah.
Elementary.
Dr. Bell.
Indeed.
That's Dr. Bell to you, Max. Yeah, I mean, if I'm correct, Alan, I thought that the inspiration for Sherlock Holmes was an actual doctor that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle studied under. Well, and his mannerisms and the way he approached problem solving were a lot like what became Sherlock Holmes, right? So,
a lot of famous characters got their quirks from real people.
Yeah.
So this doctor was really meticulous, and he was kind of the domino effect doctor. He would look at you and kind of go, your right hand, you know, you've got a curled finger, so I know you were a craftsman your whole life because now you've got tendon problems.
Right.
I mean, he was a good study of people around him, and Doyle picked that baby up and ran with it like a 5-year-old with a new pair of scissors.
There you go, folks. Never, always pay attention to those around you.
And always run with scissors.
Exactly. Anyway, if you want to weigh in on this and talk about Sherlock Holmes today, I don't know if that has anything to do with home improvement. Although many times in home improvement, you have to be kind of a detective, Alan. We've seen that.
Oh, you and I spend a lot of time trying to figure out, and how did this happen?
Exactly. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we also invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio on Facebook. I've already posted our must-have item of the week, which it's funny. It's a pretty simple item, but you and I wound up getting a lot. We had a pretty big discussion about it off air, so we'll see if it
is very, very useful.
Okay, coming in at some point today, this is, Alan, I already know today's going to be a weird day. It's, what is it, about 75 degrees outside. We're in the beginning of December. Somebody's getting some storms. I mean, we know that. Hopefully everybody stays safe. But I walked in, and I'm always the first one here, except today. I get here, and Larry Brown is next door with Ditch in the studio working on their new ads. I'm like, when has Larry ever gotten here before 9? So, I don't know.
Apparently when inspired by Ditch, not us.
So Larry Brown is going to be coming in at some point. We don't know when. He's just going to materialize, and we'll throw him on. So,
that sounds like a plan.
If you've got any HVAC questions, this is the day to call, or clean air. We always talk about clean air. Alan, in great moments in building history, I don't know if Larry wants in on this action or not, but we're going to be talking about the Hindenburg and Zeppelins, right? I guess combination. How did we come up with this one? This one you and Max sort of spearheaded. Max has been rubbing his hands together all morning. So, I mean,
any excuse to talk about a big Zeppelin.
Well, I thought it was like gas, and the double entendres are going to be flying.
No, that's you.
Okay.
Well, the trick is there's a lot of technology that was developed at this time,
right?
That it shows up today in very unusual places.
Okay, all right. Well, I think we can make the crossover. We've got an interesting roundtable discussion all about Christmas tool shopping, and this one I hope Larry's going to weigh in on because I'm not going to tease too much, but I think you're going to want to get in on this conversation, folks. And Alan, if we have time, Alan's Week in Review, it involves HVAC, right?
Yes, it does.
And maybe we can trigger Larry, get some material out of it for that.
Just any excuse, please, for me to press the button.
Exactly. We've got lots of other stuff. Trust me, folks, we got more than we'll ever get to. So I'm going to quit teasing it. And before we get to any of that, though, guys, we've got a very suspicious text line question. I am highly dubious of this, Alan, and you can understand why after I read this. But I figured, it might be good for, we deal with a lot of, we are a very holistic show when it comes to home improvement. Let's just put it that way.
Yep.
Hey, guys, my husband is a procrastinator when it comes to repairing things around the house. Okay. I don't like to be a nagging wife, but sometimes I lose my patience and I do it anyway. I want to keep a happy home, but I also don't want it falling apart. Please give me some advice on good, non-nagging ways to motivate him. Thanks, Kathy. My wife's name is Kathy.
That's
clue number one.
Perhaps I can find new ways to motivate him.
I was like, wait a minute, what are we getting here?
I think you're getting set up is what this is.
Well, I came up with many. I have a pretty long answer. I've got some do's and don'ts here.
All right, go for it.
Okay, this to be Kathy, whoever you are. This is a good. Okay. Here's number one. This is a good opportunity for some passive aggressive gift giving of tools. You know what I'm saying, Alan? Go to your big box store. I don't know what the repairs that might be needed are, but suddenly it's like, hey, honey, here's this brand new plunger or this brand new such and such or this brand new whatever.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Without saying what what it's for, I don't know. I like passive aggressive. I think passive aggressive can be done a lot better than people are doing it now. The idea is to make them think it's their idea, right? I mean, so anyway, here's another one that you'll probably agree with, Al. What do you think of this? Create a reward system, which is basically bribery. Does that work for you when when something you don't want to do,
Well, it's needless to say that I am food motivated.
Okay.
So it's
but you're the one that makes the food, so that doesn't work.
It's one of those things I think it's more about effective communication.
Okay.
Of when somebody comes to you and goes, that toilet downstairs has been running for 3 months. Well, obviously I didn't.
Okay.
And it's also when you tell this person.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed, especially in families, people want to tell you stuff as you're coming down the stairs with 2 armloads of laundry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, by the way, the squeaky duck quit squeaking.
Right.
Well, I'm going to look at this and look at people and go, I have the memory of a goldfish.
Well,
by the time I get down the stairs and I get to the laundry and I get the baskets put down and whatever was told to me has left.
I thought the demands are also made when the husband walks through the door after a long day of work.
Right. It's all about timing. Don't give it to him right before bed.
Well, and I'm not picking on just the husband. It goes both ways.
That's true.
The communication ship has to sail the proper direction.
Well, hey, you just led me into rule number 3. Here's my we're going to call this the nuclear option. I wrote it down, Alan, because I didn't want to forget it because I was working on this last. Okay, here's mine. Attempt the repair yourself, but purposely do it badly, causing more damage than what you started with. This approach is especially effective when it comes to plumbing problems. Here's what this tactic will have a 3-pronged result. Tell me if you agree with my conclusion here, Alan. 1, even if he isn't pleased with your workmanship, he will still nevertheless feel a grudging admiration for you for taking the initiative, thus maintaining the aura of peace that you seek. You think that's accurate? I don't know.
I'm going to meh on that one.
2, he will now be forced to take action immediately and make the repair since it has now reached critical mass. That's you can't argue with that, especially
that one
if
does
it's a
happen,
plumbing leak.
or you're about to pay a plumbing bill.
3, henceforth, you will never again be asked to help with repair duties for the remainder of your marriage. It's like the guy that burns, that pours a half a gallon of bleach in the laundry purposely so that he's never asked to do the laundry again.
Right, and it usually means the life of your marriage is about the next 6 months.
So you don't like this advice at all. So no.
Not terribly. Now I am a fan of do it yourself.
Okay, so what is that?
I am a big fan of do it yourself because, and this goes both ways.
All right.
I am not being gender specific at all.
Yeah, you're really afraid of going in the doghouse, aren't you?
Well, no, because I work with way too many 30 and 40-year-old women that have just totally taken control of their house.
Well, that's true.
And it's kind of the state of today of there are a lot of people that are really good at video games and know nothing about screwdrivers. Male or female.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that, shockingly to me, don't know anything about a kitchen.
Yeah, me. Yeah.
Right. I wasn't looking at you when I said that. So I'm kind of a big fan of let's do a little deductive reasoning here and go, the handle's loose on the drawer. There is absolutely no reason to turn this into a debate in marital bliss.
I don't think we're talking about those kind of. That's a small project.
No.
I'm talking about a gaping hole in the ceiling, or.
Everybody knows about the gaping hole. That is generally when you wind up on my DIY failed show.
Okay.
On TV someplace.
Yeah.
Generally, what I find, the things that make people the craziest is the stuck drawer, the handle, we need a new cover on the light socket, with little stuff.
Yeah.
That makes people crazy, that quite frankly did not need to become a federal case.
Okay. I don't know, Alan. You're really dodging my, I wanted to go into the breach and we haven't answered our question yet. What's a non-nagging way? I think bribery's good.
I like bribery. Bribery is always good.
Okay, here's what would work for me. I'll be honest. Go ahead, Max.
My question is like, if you're someone who's familiar with these sorts of tactics and everything, how are you going to take it when you know that you're being manipulated?
Well, I mean, that's welcome to marriage, Max. I mean, that's just kind of the way it goes. It's just
some people have so much to look forward to, young man.
Some people are better at it than others. So, I mean, for example, one thing that never worked for me, and my wife learned now to not even bother, when she goes, if there was something wrong, and she's like, "Hey, where do you keep your tools?" And I'm like, "Well, wait, why do you want to know? Those are my tools." And I'm just really tired of that little thing upstairs. I'm just going to go ahead and try to fix it myself. And when she did that, it irritated me. It did get me to go fix it immediately, but there was resentment, and because I knew she wasn't serious. I knew she was not going to go fix it. It was really just a very unsophisticated form of nagging.
However, it worked.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think there's better. Yeah, but it doesn't give you that bliss and harmony that people are talking about. That she's talking about here. So it's like I think maybe Kathy needs to change her attitude a little bit. Maybe it's something that you the trick is, why don't you motivate yourself, learn how to fix it yourself, and that might spark your husband go, wait a minute, I need to keep up with my wife or something,
Actually plan.
Put it in a calendar.
We're going to, on Saturday afternoon, we're going to go wander through the house, and we are going to spend the next hour together going through these things.
Forget about romantic dinners. How about the romance of going around the house and fixing things?
All right, Alan, I hate to admit, you just came up with the answer. Go ahead. I 100% agree.
I'm going to throw in, nobody knows the definition of the word happiness. Nobody really does. Nobody really
true.
does. However,
there's peace,
I do know the definition of irritation.
Yeah.
And the definition of irritation is things not working well.
Mm-hmm.
So when that light switch doesn't work quite as well as it should, or that drawer sticks, or that just frustrates the bejesus out of people.
Yeah.
And I think if you and your betrothed would get together and together go tackle these little projects, whichever one of you doesn't know how to do it can learn, and it's something you can accomplish together. So, Max, I'm going to look at you and say, instead of the romantic dinner, how about that drawer doesn't squeak anymore? The drawer closes smoothly. The light turns on the way it should, and you can sit down and have a celebratory dinner at how awesome you were at fixing stuff.
Well, together.
And what I like about your approach here, Alan, and it really, man, I hate to, I put all this work into it, and none of my answers are really actually feasible or probably going to work.
You're going to get killed.
But your one, what I like about it is basically, I think one thing everybody's guilty of, everybody that's, in this busy world, is time management.
Yes.
It's very easy to say, oh, yeah, I got to go fix that, and I'll get to it at some point. You never will. You literally never will. But if you say, on Saturday at 3 o'clock, from 3 to 8, we are just going to fix things around the house, and we're blocking out that time, and you work on it together.
We're not coming over. Tell her not to bring the cat. We're not doing it.
You have to schedule it.
You got to have a little time with. And I'm going to say,
and when it's over, we're going to go out to our favorite restaurant and eat.
And we're going to celebrate. Yes.
Right. I think that's a good approach. Okay. Well, Kathy, whoever you are, I hope that's helpful. I don't know.
That's some bribery there.
Okay. I think that's actually pretty good. I still like my answer, though, of purposely doing the job badly and, Just, I think there's. I would like to know what
so
people
much
think.
money off of that tactic over the years. I can't tell you.
If you came home and your wife's under the car and she's like, hon, I really just wanted to attempt to fix my own transmission or something, wouldn't you admire that?
I look at her and go, deuces. Have a good time. I'm going to go cook dinner. What do you want for dinner?
Okay.
Yeah.
You got a weird house, Alan. Alan's house doesn't count. So, all right, Alan, since, as I said, Larry's next door doing something. He's in the recording studio with Ditch doing something. Yep. So he's going to drop in at any moment. So we're doing things a little out of order, Max. So we've got to get to our must-have item of the week. I don't know if I gave him time to cue that music. So
I don't know. You've been waving it for 3 minutes.
Sorry, I didn't prepare him. But anyway, Alan, tell people what I am holding up.
You are holding up a professional quad pad, better known as graph paper.
People are like, wow, whoop-de-doo, a packet of graph paper. Well, it's,
there is a huge whoop-de-doo to that stuff.
I'm telling you, these are those things that you don't think about. But graph paper, I think we all used it at school, right? So, I mean,
I would hope so.
Well, I don't know. Max, did you guys even have paper when you were in school?
Yes. Hey, I was in the period where they were transitioning to smart boards.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we never had iPads in school or anything.
Okay, well.
But graph paper is
we wrote in coal on the back of shovels when I was in school. So,
yeah, exactly. So, but Alan, graph paper, basically, it's a bunch of squares on a paper, and you make, I like it because it's a quick way to scale things. Like, for example, because a lot of times when we draw something or when we have to visualize something, we don't always have it in scale.
Well, and the big thing, we have a little axiom that you and I have little nursery rhymes we tell ourselves all day long, like righty-tighty, lefty-loosey.
Yeah.
Or of measure twice, cut once.
Mm-hmm.
All right, graph paper means let's go move the furniture on paper before we sweat and grunt for 6 hours dragging the couch all over the house.
Bingo.
Where do we want to put that fire pit?
Yeah.
Is that tree too close to the house? My biggie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my biggie.
Yeah.
Get you some graph paper, decide that every square is a foot.
Right.
And you know what? You can even get cutesy if you're a scrapbooker kind of thing, like the movie Trolls. You can go cut out little chairs and couches and bushes, and you can lay them down on there and talk about a great visualization tool. And I know everybody just went, hey, Alan, we've been doing that on computers for 25 years.
Well,
it's not quite the same, and this is a lot simpler.
Well, and it's yeah, and plus sometimes
just draw it out. And if you don't like it, tear that page off and draw it out again.
Well, the other thing too, Alan, I'm looking at people like us that are out in the field, and if all you have is your phone,
yep.
It's a lot easier to pull out a notebook and draw it up than it is, because I don't even know if my phone has that ability to do a graph.
I'm sure it does, but I don't have the eyesight.
Yeah.
I'm sure the phone can do it. I'm not sure I can do it.
Yeah.
Here's one of my biggest ones. All right, so you're looking at, it's this time of year and it's fire pit time. A friend of mine had a beautiful fire pit last night going. I got the pictures. I'm jealous. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to draw out your backyard to the best of your ability.
Right.
And you've decided you want that new XYZ decorative tree or bush you saw at the big box store. And you want to put it where you can look at it out the window. Well, the thing is, read on the package, how big does this thing get? Well, right now, it's only 5 feet around. It's a cute little thingy. But these things get 40 feet across. All right, well, measure out 40 feet from the house.
Yeah.
And that is the absolute closest you want to get. So the graph paper.
You got to imagine the tree roots expanding.
Oh my gosh!
Goes.
Where do you want to put the fire pit? Can we put my favorite one? Can't we put that new sectional sofa down here?
Yeah.
Well, please draw it out first before you wind up playing what I like to call living room Tetris, because you honestly wind up just getting stuff that's too big for your lifestyle. And now you're stuck with it.
Right. Yeah. But there's something, I know people talk about how books one day are going to be obsolete. Well, they're not obsolete yet, and we still need to write on things. So
paper is still a wonderful, wonderful thing. And graph paper could probably save your marriage when it comes to renovations and rearranging your house.
Wait a minute. What do you mean, Alan? Because
you can sit around and play on paper without dragging furniture up and down the stairs all day.
Yeah.
Well, that just doesn't work there. Well, we could have figured that out on paper.
It's funny you said, because when you were talking about that, I wasn't thinking about it. But yeah, if you've got to move a room you got to move a bunch of stuff from downstairs to upstairs. Well, here you can say, here's where the door is. Here's where the window is. Here's
much
whatever.
Clearance you got to have. Can you put this there?
Yeah. No, I think it's good. And it's probably good for kids, because if you want them off their screens, you can give them a pad of graph
give them a
paper.
job.
And I still think it's good for visualizing in geography or geometry and all that stuff.
Yes.
So, okay. Well, hey, Alan, I don't know what Larry's doing next door. We're just going to have to keep moving along without him. So we're switching things up again.
Alrighty.
We're going to get to, when we come back, we're going to talk about our great moments in building history. Somehow, we're going to connect the Hindenburg and the construction of zeppelins with home improvement.
We can.
That's a challenge. Okay.
No,
this is you and Max, this is your baby, right?
We got this.
Okay. All right. Then this is Tool Talk Radio. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
When my new apprentice arrives, he will take care of you.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I want to meet this apprentice if he's going to. I don't know. It's really overselling. Anyway, welcome
back. He will
back.
take care of you.
He'll take care of things. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we invite you to go to Tool Talk Radio's Facebook page. Give us a like and check out the action over there.
We will take care of you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a weird day. As we said, we got here. It was 75 degrees outside, which, clue number one, it's going to be there's weird air pressure around. And the first person here was Larry Brown from Brown Refrigeration and working next door with Ditch. And Larry, you just strolled into the studio. You are what's going on, man?
When it's your studio, you should be able to come in at any time, right?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, he does pay the bills. It's kind of like when Steven Spielberg shows up on a movie set, you don't question why.
You just look at him and go, "Would you like your chair, sir?"
Yeah. So, well, Larry, we love what you've done with the place, as we said.
Oh, it's great, man. Worked our magic in here. It's beautiful, beautiful.
So what were you doing with Ditch next door? Or is this classified information?
No. We were working on some radio spots or some holiday spots for my company.
Okay.
And just talking about some other things, just all about future spots on maybe other shows or whatever. So, but I'm going to stick with this show. There's no question about it. I'm with you guys to the end. So
it sounds like you're diving deeper into the Cumulus family, right?
But, oh yeah. We I really enjoy them, and they're good people. So, hopefully we can, feed off each other and make it better for everybody.
Once again, I noticed your wife's not here. You're never going to bring Mrs. Brown to the show, are you?
Well,
I mean, that's never going to happen.
Remember
It's
that
a
thing
pipe
we
dream.
talked about earlier about passive aggressive?
I know. It's just, folks, I mean, the problem I have, Larry, is we're wasting good material. You let her go on the microphone. I have a feeling we'd get some great stuff, but she just doesn't want to come in. I don't know. Maybe she's got too much good sense. She's worried about her public reputation. I
Probably
think.
is. I'm worried about the secrets she might share with you guys. So.
Oh, so he's keeping. There's wheels within wheels. Well, you guys, I feel like we should rearrange things again. Sorry, dear listeners. How many times have we rearranged the show
It's
today?
called live radio.
So we're gonna hold on. We will get to our great moments in building history, but I mean, we got Larry Brown here, so let's talk about HVAC. So I mean,
well, I tell you what, let's talk about my week in review.
Oh, so you're scrambling?
Yeah,
things?
I'm going to scramble you one more time. I'm going to let Max press some buttons, and I'm going to trigger Larry because I got a great story for him.
Okay.
You mean Earth of humanity?
Well, Larry, since you've been here last, we've instituted a new segment. Alan, his work is wide ranging. We never know what it's going to be, and so we thought, why not tap that material? And so we've created Alan's Week in Review, And actually, this one you said is HVAC related.
It is. It
Okay.
is.
All right. Well, this is bound to trigger later.
Called into the lobby of a facility, and they're telling me that they just recently had like a new counter put in, and it looked nice. Walked in and went, oh, okay, you guys, painted it up a little bit. Then I realized that this had become DIY versus your HVAC.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Larry knows exactly what I'm about to say.
Right.
So they had done a little work. They'd done a little sanding and some painting and a little more sanding and a little more of this, a little more of that. And now they just weren't getting the heat the way they used to.
Mm-hmm.
And they were using a couple of items called PTACs, which are just basically really big window unit air conditioners.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they are. They're just big window units.
Yeah.
And, I walked over and they said, well, we've cleaned the filters. So I walked over and pulled the filter out and the filter was clean. Okay, but it's still not really, there's just not air flowing out of this thing.
Right.
So I popped the top off of it up, and it was probably one of the nicest sheetrock decoupage jobs I had ever seen. This poor thing it looked like somebody had dusted it in powdered sugar. Mm-hmm. It was completely packed full of dust.
So they're sanding, they're kicking up all this dust, and nobody thought to cover the vents or the HVAC.
No, what they had done was, the guys working out front were getting a little hot, so they had flipped that AC on and cranked it up. So it sucked in everything it could possibly catch. I mean, Larry, you couldn't even see the fins.
Oh, I believe that. I mean, I've seen it many times to where, obviously the workers are in there, they're working, they're get hot or cold. And they're like, oh, there's an air conditioning unit. Let's turn it on. Mm-hmm. And, then they keep sanding, more dust. And, next thing you know, the unit stopped up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So luckily with a PTAC unit, which is, for folks at home, it's kind of like a motel or hotel unit that the little one's in the wall, right?
Right.
You could pull that out and take it outside and
we did.
Clean it. So it's not that big a deal. But if you get a central unit,
oh yes,
or sometimes in like a commercial project, you got a rooftop unit, it becomes a more difficult task to clean that because you can't take it outside and spray it off or whatever.
Put a little coil cleaner in it and a little, you just can't take the hose to it.
Especially like a rooftop unit, if you want to flood the building, you can, but so it's more challenging to clean those than the PTAC units. But yeah, I've seen that many times.
Well, Larry, we have a saying here. Of course, water is the enemy when it comes to wood or just the keeping it out of your home. Was it fair to say in HVAC dust can be the enemy? Because I'm just thinking of the damage you can do with dust.
Well, HVAC units are probably, I would think, over half of the failures or breakdowns of those are they're dirty.
Yeah,
they're not properly maintained and not cleaned. Filters, you have to make sure you put proper filters in. Cleaning the outdoor unit, because you got to think there's a coil out there, but there's no filter outside. So all the stuff floating around the air gets sucked into that coil, and it's got to be cleaned. We recommend annually. So a lot of the service calls we go out on for breakdowns, we go, well, you look and you say, with just a little maintenance, this would have been totally preventable.
Right.
So yes, it is a big deal for air conditioning to keep, dirt and dust, other contaminants to clog them up and cause them, instead of a small issue, now you're talking thousands of dollars to get it repaired.
Yeah.
Maybe you burnt the compressor up or something like that. So now it becomes a huge issue.
Yeah, I told you this when you were on before, Larry. It's if you want to, go on YouTube and pull up a video of how your air conditioning system works, and to me, it's more complicated than being a surgeon working on these things. I mean, it is a finely tuned system, right? I mean, every part of the system needs to be working properly.
Oh, absolutely. For it to be as efficient as possible, it has to be. Everything's got to be working together. Everything's got to be working at maximum capacity, and especially in our units today, we don't have any fudge factor there. There's no extra capacity. There's nothing. So you want to try to make sure you're getting everything out of it as possible and as efficiently as possible and using the least amount of energy.
Yeah. Go ahead, Alan.
And I want to throw in as a cautionary tale for you pet owners out there. Hair works just as good as sheetrock dust.
I think it's more insidious.
Oh my gosh, I haven't had one this year, but in past, I've people that collect pets, they have more than one.
Oh yeah,
there's folks with
multiple pets, right?
And a lot depends on the size and the breed and all that kind of stuff. But everything in your house makes dust, dirt, dander, hair.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't change out those filters, and I'm kind of harping on this going into the Christmas holidays, because now more and more people are going to be in your house. You're going to be doing a lot of cleaning, and believe it or not, cleaning kicks up a lot of dust.
Well,
And
sure.
Not a bad idea to double check those filters before the big event.
And, I was thinking about something else. We're really beating this into the ground, Larry, but if you've got dirty air ducts and it's blowing dust and dirt out, well, the return vents are sucking it right back in, right? So, I mean, it's sort of a cyclical thing.
Yeah, once the dust and dirt builds up in that ductwork, it's just kind of like recirculating in your home. It blows out the vents. It gets floating around in the air. It gets drawn into the ductwork, the return or the intake, and your filter's not going to catch all of it.
No.
So it's just kind of like recycling this dust and dirt. And pet dander. Oh, there's list. We could talk about that the rest of the show. All the stuff that's floating around in the air, right? But it's all amounts to particulates that are in the air that get in your ductwork. And I kind of relate it to people like if you didn't dust a table for 5 years, what do you think it'd look like? They go, oh, it'd be really dirty.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's what your ducts look like.
And they're right there. It's funny how many things are really like they could be just feet away from you, but because you don't see them, you don't think about them. And the air ducts are that way. I mean, they're right by you, but unless you're looking in, you don't notice it.
Well, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
If you don't see it with your own eyes, it's kind of like you don't really relate to it. But it's important to keep your system serviced, keep your filters changed, and then also to get your ductwork cleaned on a periodic basis. We really recommend like every 3 years if you have multiple pets, and if you don't have pets, maybe every 5 years.
Hey, Larry, in that vein, I told you the show was going to be weird, everybody. So, I mean, fair warning.
December.
But, Larry, you probably got some specials that address some of these things, right? So you always bring specials to the listeners. So,
well, we do. And with that in mind, that we always offer some specials on the show. So right now we're offering, if you're interested in any new train equipment, we're offering a no interest financing for up to 3 years. So if you wanted to purchase a new heating and air conditioning unit, you could take advantage of the no interest financing for 3 years. You could get it, use it while you're paying for it and enjoy it, and it'd be interest free. So that's always great. If you're not interested in that, we do have a rebate program. So you don't have to, if you don't want to take advantage of the financing, we could offer you up to $500 rebate on particular systems. If you're interested in duct cleaning, we'll knock $100 off on any of our duct cleaning services. Also, the Remy Halos. We've talked about those many, many times. Yeah. So we're offering $100 off on those also. So in the Remy Halo, just to enlighten everybody, the filters are catching all the particulates floating around the air. But Remy Halo takes even one step further, and it's actually able to kill or mitigate viruses, bacteria, microscopic stuff that your filter's not going to catch.
Yeah.
So, and it is proven to kill the COVID virus also, flu. So now, you see on the news, you got, basically like flu is really bad this year. You still got COVID. And we'll probably never get rid of COVID. It'll be around for many, many years.
Yeah.
It's
going to mutate and kind of.
We'll learn to manage it like we did the flu. Same thing. So, and for those that have children, there's that respiratory disease. I don't want to say it wrong, but it's RSV or RVS or something like that. I don't want to.
I never heard of that one. So.
Yeah, it's a respiratory disorder that's going around in children. So it's like a tri-pandemic is what I heard it called.
Jeez.
It's the flu, the COVID, and this children's respiratory issue. I see Alan over there pecking away at his, so he can get an answer. He's pecking away at the keyboard to get
clean
Google
air
involved.
Yeah.
So it's important.
Yeah, I didn't want to give the wrong one. It is RSV.
RSV.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's important to not only keep your filters changed, your system clean, but also to take care of those microscopic things in the air to where, you've got the cleanest, freshest air that you can in your home.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about it. You eat healthy, drink healthy, and breathe healthy. I mean, if the air in your home is cleaner, think of the advantage that gives you. On the flip side, if it's filthy and dusty, think of what you're breathing in. So, hey, Larry,
it was just such a shock when when you do the kind of work we do. There's always that. We talked about this in 30 Years of Stupid all the time.
Yeah.
But you go into a facility, you go into a home, you go into somebody's business, and you open that, insert here, panel, wall, air duct, whatever. And usually, if there's somebody with you, like the homeowner or the business owner, you usually now hear the gasp of, "Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
I had no idea."
Yeah,
businesses, they have grease traps and stuff like that. People just are shocked at kind of basically the side effect of our lifestyles.
That's right.
Oh yeah,
And
right.
The management of what we do is honestly a lot of dominoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they had double filtered the air, if they'd put something over it to keep all that particulate from getting in it, that now they got lucky. They could have burned them up.
Oh, yeah.
They got real lucky. They could have absolutely just eaten them up and been buying all new units.
Oh yeah. Right.
So happily they called me and we got to it quickly. But when you're looking at your home, there's a lot of people for January 1st coming up, because we're going to revisit this in January, I promise, because there's all those New Year's resolutions.
Oh, right.
I'm finally going to replace that insert here in the home.
Right.
And everything you do in the house is going to make some kind of chemical, smell, or dust.
Yeah.
You're right.
And it's going in the HVAC.
Yeah.
So
you're
keep it clean, folks. Hey, Larry, I was thinking about something. We're approaching our 6th year of being on the air with Larry Brown. Isn't that something, Alan?
Wow.
I know it's 5. Yeah, about 5. So we'll be entering into our 6th year. And I was just thinking of all the changes just in the time we've known you in HVAC. For example, I think when we first met you, the smart home system was a newer concept, right?
It was, and I think that's really popular now.
Sort of standard, right? I mean,
yeah, we've got some people that are like anti-technology, so they don't want to be involved in that. But most folks are.
Notice he looked at me when he said
no, I know you embrace technology,
yeah.
but
They still want you to fax over the proposal.
Something like that. Yeah. So,
okay.
It's some people are just, more like, I like things simple. So we just put plain thermostats. But you can't get the smart home technology where you can control your heating and air conditioning unit or units from anywhere that you have cell phone connection. So if you're at work, you're on vacation, wherever you're at, as long as you can use your cell phone, you can turn your heating and air conditioning on or off, set the temperature, or even just monitor your home. So
that part's great. The security factor.
The security factor, absolutely, making sure the temperatures are right. That is. So, and then of course, we got like the UV lights have been around for many years, but the Remy Halo is a fairly new product. So, that's something we really like. Really encourage everybody to get one. It's not really visual that you could see what the Remy Halo's doing, but it's doing so much behind the scenes.
Right.
So it it's great for your home.
You notice the lack of smell
Exactly.
when you do that.
I
So
was going
it's
to say,
like,
actually, that is
it's what you don't
exactly
notice.
it.
Right.
It's when you do a little comparison and you go, the sniff test gives you absolutely nothing.
Right. Yeah.
And then you have to remember, we have a dog.
Right. I don't smell that. I don't smell the bacon you cooked
Right.
earlier.
You just got used to smelling the dog. And then, when that smell goes away, it lets you know so much else is out of that air.
Another thing, Larry, that I've noticed, because back in I remember you were warning us of this, like, I don't know, a year or two before it happened. The refrigerant that is used in HVAC units has changed, right? And you had to adapt to that change, right?
Well, the R22 refrigerant that had been around since I started in the business 40 plus years ago,
right.
They quit making it in January 1, 2020. It could be manufactured or imported into the United States. So whatever was here is all we had left. So, now we're, basically almost 3 years down the road, and there's not a whole lot left. So it is super expensive. We almost have to take it out in armored cars. That's a joke, but it's super expensive, hard to come by. So if you do have a system that has R22 in it, you really need to think about getting that replaced before it becomes an issue. So, and then they are coming out with new refrigerants in 2025 that are going to be less, a global impact from the refrigerant, but it is going to contain a certain amount of propane, which is going to be a flammable issue.
Ooh.
So there's all kinds of new issues we have to deal with. So that's something that's new and upcoming. The next thing is the DOE, Department of Energy, has come up with new energy mandates that are going to go into effect January 1 of 23. So they didn't really raise the standard. What they did is created a new way of testing units that's much more stringent, put some more things in there that is going to make the current units aren't going to qualify for on this new testing platform. So they're going to have to come up with, the manufacturers are coming up with new air conditioners that are going to be more efficient. And with that said, they're going to be more expensive.
Yeah, I mean, and because we talk about it all the time, Larry. I mean, for me, I'm a carpenter. My job probably hasn't, the requirements of carpentry probably haven't changed in centuries out. I mean, aside from some new tools, but HVAC, it's constantly new regulations, new technology, new ways of doing things. And so you really need a HVAC company that understands the dynamics here. You don't just get Chuck in his truck to work on your HVAC system.
Anymore.
And that's why we, like I said, just in the short time we've known you've dealt with supply chain issues. You dealt with COVID. You've dealt with a lot of stuff just in the short time we've known you, and you've done it well, sir, with a plum, I have to say.
Well, I appreciate that, and we're trying to do the best thing for our customers. And with the supply chain issue, there's still issues with the supply chain, not only in our industry but other industries. So it's not, before the pandemic, we could, air conditioners were pretty readily available. Now they're not quite as readily available. We actually have started purchasing units in the off season, like in the winter months. We'll purchase up a lot of inventory, so that'll be there when you need it in the summer.
Yeah.
So, and then you got, again, the energy mandate, refrigerants. There's lots of issues going on out there. You really need somebody to help you navigate through all that.
Exactly. So, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, I don't envy your job, man. You get the emergency calls at 2 a.m. You do, but HVAC is what you do. You've done this. That's pretty much been your career.
I have been doing this for, it'll be, next year will be 43 years I've been in the industry. Actually longer than that, because my dad had child labor back when I was like 12. I understand your parents can't have child labor if they don't pay you, so it's not considered child labor. That's a joke. But
you haven't sued your dad yet? Okay.
No. But he took me out when I was like 12. He was in the business. He taught me how to do things, and once I got out of school and started, doing this for a living. Never looked back, never done anything else.
Yeah.
And really enjoy it. The best part about it is meeting new people.
Absolutely.
And helping new customers, or helping our existing customers also with all their needs, and helping them get over all these hurdles that are put in front of us now.
And you got a great business culture over there at Brown Refrigeration. But you know what? We haven't even told people how to get in touch. So how do people get in touch with Brown Refrigeration?
Well, you can call us at 901-362-1881, or you can reach us on the web at brownref.com. If you call, we're going to answer the phone.
Absolutely.
We're not, you don't have to push 1 for service and 2 for this. A human being's going to answer the phone and take care of your needs.
Awesome. All right, well, we hope we're taking care of your needs here at Tool Talk Radio. If not, you can have your money back. Hour 1 is in the can, but stay tuned for Hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allen.
And welcome to Hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com, our pal Max over there behind the glass, and the man who keeps the lights on around here, Larry Brown from Brown Refrigeration. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we also invite you to go to Tool Talk Radio on Facebook and join the family over there. We probably could use with a few more likes, Alan. It's funny, we get some pretty decent interaction, but I don't know. We need more traffic. We need to expand the Tool Talk Radio family. Brown Refrigeration has a better Facebook page dynamic than we do, Larry.
Well, I will throw in, however, we are heard around the world on Spotify and on YouTube, so they can pop over to tooltalkradio.com and listen to us literally around the world. And so I'd like to shout out to Norway, New Zealand.
We got some Norwegians.
Japan,
nice.
Great Britain, Scotland, I'm trying to think, and Germany. Popped up in the last couple of weeks.
That's ominous since of what we're going to be talking about shortly.
Just letting you know. So for those of you listening outside of the Mid-South listening area, please send us an email, send us a question.
Absolutely.
We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we'd love to get a message. And as I say, if you live below the equator, please send us a video of you flushing your toilet. We want to see that backward swirl.
Yeah,
right?
New Zealand.
Don't look at me that way,
we need some
Larry.
videos from New Zealand.
These New Zealanders
Well, I think that'd be interesting. I'd always like to see that.
Now, I did not plan to even bring this up, but you guys both have a scientific mind. Alan, so as we know, when we flush the toilet, I don't know if it goes clockwise or counterclockwise up here. I honestly
we go clockwise.
Okay, so we go clockwise, and if you're in New Zealand or something, it goes counterclockwise.
Correct.
Well, what happens if you're on the equator, like literally on the equator? Would it just do what it wants? Does it go straight
Your
down?
toilet doesn't flush.
and how far below the equator and how far? But I guess I wonder what happens with water pressure when you get right on the edge there.
Now, how about the mole people that live under the equator?
Yeah.
Exactly. What are they doing?
The lizard people.
Do you have an answer for that? Or
Well, actually, if you're right on the equator, you have kind of a 50-50 shot. Depends on how the plumbing is set up.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
You're making that answer up, aren't you?
No, I've actually asked that question before because I had a friend that lived in Equatorial Africa, and it was like, I got the weirdest question for you. Because, it's really pronounced when you go to Australia because it's way down and it's up here. And I said, well, water swirls up here. And he goes, he's looking at me, he's like, sometimes it goes one way, sometimes it goes another. It depends on, he told me it was kind of more about the design of the toilet.
I want to know. This is a question. This is now a burning question on my mind. And I didn't even think about it until you mentioned our listeners.
Yeah, but he told me, he goes, well, if you just have a standard flush toilet where the water just goes straight down, you kind of get a 50-50 chance which way it will go. Because I actually had a friend that I could ask that. And I went, all right, when you get home and you pull the handle, which way does the water go?
Right.
And he's like, down. He goes, equator, a little either.
Yeah. And it's funny, for those of you out there that want to dismiss the educational value of comic books, I learned about this dynamic in reading a Batman comic book, Larry.
I learned about this dynamic from The Simpsons.
Batman was kidnapped by Ra's al Ghul, and he was put on a plane and flown for like 15 hours somewhere. And when they put him in his prison, he flushed the toilet, and by determining which way the water went, he knew that he was south of the equator. What do you think of that, Larry?
Well, I guess that's a good idea. I'll remember that if I get captured and kidnapped and fly 15 hours. I'll flush the toilet.
So these are the kind of
Know
pressing
which way where I'm at.
These are the kind of pressing topics we want you to share when you go to Tool Talk Radio on Facebook, or if you're from
we need some listeners in Japan to talk about Japanese toilets.
Exactly, because they've got efficient toilets.
Man, they have got high tech. They have gone techno crazy.
Okay.
With the toilets.
Oh, they have. Yeah.
They have.
That should be great moments in building history.
Oh, yeah.
It will, Max.
It's a whole new world over there.
Yeah. It is the Toto toilet or something like that, I think.
They have weird ones, too, where you sit down, your legs
it'll
are
do your blood pressure. It'll tell you how your heart rate's going. It'll analyze what's happening internally with you.
You can take a shower.
I don't know if it goes that far.
It'll clean parts of you that have ever been cleaned.
Don't even get me started
about
that. Don't even get me started about the shape of the original Japanese toilets.
Okay. And we, of course, Max, you love Japanese culture and everything, so we're saying they're ahead of the curve when it comes to that.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
All right. Hey,
they're ahead of the S-bend.
Yeah. As we said, today's show, we make no promises. And I blame there's atmospheric conditions that I'm blaming it on. The weather. You just told me that the temperature just dropped about 20 degrees outside, right?
We have gone. I'm watching the little temp gauge on my computer over here, and we were at about 65. Now we're at about 58. And the rest of the day is going to be about 53.
Okay, because I was ready to put shorts and a T-shirt on.
Not today.
Not today.
Okay. Hey, in a minute, I've got a pretty cool. We promise we are going to get to our discussion of great moments in building history, but we're rearranging on the fly. So in a minute, we have a pretty interesting roundtable discussion that we're going to do involving Christmas tool shopping, and we want Larry's input on this because he's been a homeowner longer than any of us. So, but before we get to that, it would be a dereliction of duty if I didn't mention our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. And Larry, one day we got to we got to have like a summit show where we have you and Jay Hill on the show on the air together.
Sure.
Are two pillars of Tool Talk Radio, because Jay, we only deal with the best here on Tool Talk Radio. Let's face it. We may not be the best, Alan, but our sponsors are. But with Big M Roofing and Remodeling, for one thing, they are 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau. They are GAF Master Elite Installers, 5 stars with the Good Housekeeping. Wait, is 5 star? Does Good Housekeeping do 5 stars? He's never had less than a 5-star review.
He gets rated very highly.
He gets rated very highly. And one of the great things about Jay too, in addition to the roofing systems, these are systems that are put on your house. It's not just a matter of nailing some shingles up. These make your roof run more efficiently. They make your utility bill go down because they cool the roof and it makes it wear out slow. They don't wear out as quickly because they're keeping it cool underneath. These ridge vents are one of the best inventions I've seen. But also when it comes to roofing problems, you may have issues that are covered by your homeowner's insurance. And so one of the great things when you deal with Jay Hill with Big M Roofing is that he was a former insurance agent. I don't know how many people have made that career transition. That's pretty interesting. So he understands the dynamics of if you have a homeowner's claim to make, that is not an easy process to navigate. You really do. It's like an advocate. You almost need, Jay is almost like your lawyer when you walk into court.
It's nothing like watching Jay and the person with the insurance,
the adjuster,
lapse into insurance speak.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is when you are so happy you have an advocate that speaks that language.
What I thought was interesting, because, you and I, full disclosure, Jay has replaced our roof. He replaced your roof. He replaced our buddy Brandon Olmstead's roof. And with our insurance, our homeowner's insurance. And what I found interesting was how they would walk around the house and they were pointing at things that I didn't even notice. And I mean, I like to think I know about home improvement. They were pointing at angles over here and breaches over here and all this other. And I'm like, wow. I'm glad I've got got an advocate on my side. So, Jay, the consultation is free, really. So there's no reason not to call. Get in touch with Jay Hill. He's just a fun guy to talk to anyway. Call him at like 8 o'clock at night if you're bored. He'll entertain you, I guarantee.
Oh, yeah. He'd be thrilled to get that call.
But you can call him directly at 901-484-5645 or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. Okay, Max, I don't know if you've got any music for this, but I wanted to roundtable a Christmas discussion with you guys. Christmas and tools, we could say. But let's see. No, he's not queuing anything up. You got anything, Max?
Nothing.
Okay. All right. We're going to unceremoniously get into our discussion. So, Larry, I'm looking at you. I wanted to kind of have a roundtable discussion because I think you've been a homeowner. How many years have you been a homeowner?
Probably 38, maybe.
Okay.
Something like that. 30.
Allan, you're close in that.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not too far behind him. I've been there a while.
I don't know if my opinion counts because the home I bought was so bizarre and had so many unique issues that I needed a whole other set of tools. But anyway, what I was thinking is, let's take a hypothetical. Let's suppose you're going to do some Christmas shopping and you've got a first-time homeowner out there that you want to buy some gifts for. Let's say your budget is about, I don't know, around $300. I thought it'd be interesting to ask you guys, what sort of tools what kind of a tool kit would you give to your first-time homeowner? Keeping in mind that maybe they know about tools, maybe they don't. So,
well, you just want to start out with a basic tool kit, with maybe hammer, screwdriver, basic stuff like that to where, obviously all homeowners need hammers. You got to tighten screws up, stuff like that. So that's where I'd start.
Okay. That's not very exciting, Larry. I was expecting some
you could
specific
buy,
thing for
you could buy an impact drill
now
combo
we're
set.
talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Blow your whole budget right out of the gate.
Okay, well,
right?
I've got, we got $300 to work with, Larry, so we can get beyond the tool. Okay, go ahead, Allan.
I
was hoping I triggered you.
I love December at the big box stores. Because
there's sales too.
So, yeah. Everybody puts out all kinds of cutesy kits.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're of varying quality. I mean, some of them are, I'm not going to say you're going to buy industrial level quality tools, but you're going to buy good quality tools this time of year. Mm-hmm. But there are so many kits. Mm-hmm. They're kid kits. They're kits geared specifically at women. Of everyone, since Joe has actually deigned to join the battery revolution these days.
Yeah, I fought it tooth and nail,
Larry.
Larry.
Say that, going,
do you have battery tools? Battery powered?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I was
many
late
different
to the
types.
Game. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he resisted for years. He's given in.
I don't know. I've brought this up many times. Well, I think I fairly said that the first battery powered tools didn't have enough torque for me. And the batteries wore out too fast. I mean, do you disagree? Because I think when they first came out, now they have a lot better.
When they originally came out, they were kind of weak.
Yeah.
But nowadays, they're very powerful, and the batteries are pretty. Longevity of the batteries is good. In our business, we have to have them.
Sure.
It's just certain things that we have to have, and it makes your job much more quicker. You're
not dealing with cords and
more efficient time, use of time when you have the battery powered tools.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So there are wonderful kits.
Mm-hmm.
So the trick is actually go shopping. Of whatever you want, there is a kit for it. And and they're really, especially this time of year, very, very affordable. Mm-hmm. Because within your $300 package there, I just saw at least 3 different brands.
Yeah.
Not to quote any one brand better than another, but I've seen at least 3 different brands where you could get a drill, an impact, a circle saw, a sawzall, a light, and probably a radio, depending upon which package, for like $199.
With 2 batteries in it.
With batteries, with the chargers, with the stuff. And then walking down the aisle just a little further, there is the wonderful kit with everything Larry just laid out. Mm-hmm. The hammer, the crook neck, the little simple socket set. And these things range in price from like $29.99 to $100.
Yeah.
And for the $100, you could walk out of there with enough tools that you could barely carry them.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point it out that we got some triggers on the text line.
Okay. What did
for
we
one,
trigger? Yeah.
it says, Robbie Allen here. Giveaways work really well to bring in new followers.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, what?
I'm guessing that has to do with like giveaways for tools and everything.
Oh, so on Tool Talk Radio's Facebook page, we can start bribing people with giveaways. So.
Or like giveaways from like big box stores and everything for like Christmas tools or whatever, stuff like that.
All right,
and
Robbie.
And then we got another one. This is unrelated, but it's from a Keith Babb, and it's a post from the Washington Post that says, "Myth busted. Water does swirl in different directions across the globe, but it's not a toilet thing."
Oh, okay. Well, wait. What was his name? Keith. Okay.
We had Keith Babb and Robbie contribute to the text line.
Hey, you guys, thanks. We'll circle back on that. Circle back on the toilets.
Well, it's like draining a sink. A sink will also swirl one way or the other.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be the toilet. The toilet's just the most obvious.
Hey, we appreciate that, and now I am going to do a deep dive into that subject to find out if that's.
You just got to stop with these double entendres.
I know what I'm doing when I get on YouTube next. But you guys, thanks for chiming in on the text line. I guess we have to think about subtle ways to bribe. You know, we only have a limited budget here on Tool Talk Radio. So
yeah, we covered that when we went to lunch.
But Alan, go ahead. So you were because I wanted to piggyback on something you're saying. But go ahead.
The other thing, I'll tell you the. All right, this is going to be kind of funny, and everybody that personally knows me and hangs out with me, y'all need to turn off your radio right now. Because you're going to find out what you're getting for Christmas.
Okay.
Because among my friends, we've all kind of independently, but sort of together, gravitated toward one brand of tool.
Yeah.
So that when we all show up to do something together, I usually have a bag of that brand of batteries.
Oh, okay.
So that as we're working all day long, you can just swap out your 2-hour battery for your 4-hour battery for, whatever. And right now, especially, for December, the big push is a lot of these battery system manufacturers want to get you in. So their batteries are in 2-packs and 3-packs and 4-packs for about 40% off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you've chosen a particular brand of tool, well, they have a battery that fits 50 different tools.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have 50 different batteries.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's sort of the unique thing. Is
everybody that knows me, you know what you're getting for Christmas? You're getting a battery.
What I wanted to chime in too is that part of the idea here is to make everything fun. So I like Larry's approach of, yes, you definitely need the hand to, you need. I would say, honestly, too, multiple screwdrivers. Get the stubby screwdriver, get the larger, get the Phillips head, get that. Get your hammers, your adjustable wrenches, and all that. But also, you need a tool that's going to inspire them to do more, to work with tools more often. So give them a tool that is just plain out fun. And at the top of my list, Alan, I'm going to have to say, might be a Sawzall.
Oh, yeah.
It's an empowering tool. Larry, I don't know how you feel about the Sawzall, but, I mean, you get it. My big thing with the Sawzall was I've got trees all over my yard, and I love that when you put on the 12-inch blade, and that baby will cut right through, and it's it's empowering, like I said, so.
Well, and that you could do that. They also make battery-powered chainsaws now, so.
I haven't dived in. Have you tried one of those? I was tempted by
I got one in the back of my truck. So works really well, and my wife likes it because it's for the lady of the house. You could go out and trim a tree or something. If there's a limb, that anything major, but it's pretty powerful and lightweight, and you don't have to worry about any kind of gas, oil.
That's what
starting it or anything. Right. Just do your thing and. So they're coming out with all kinds of tools that are battery powered now instead of battery powered weed eaters. All that kind of stuff. So but it's like Alan said, pick a brand because all those batteries are usually interchangeable amongst that same brand.
Oh, that's a good point. Don't get 3 different brands because you're buying three different batteries.
You got to make the choice when you dive in. Doesn't matter who you pick, but. I can think of at least 4 different major brands out there that you can find easily at pretty much whichever big box store you have close to you.
Yeah.
There are at least 4 major brands I know that have gone to complete battery interchangeable systems.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it is, I got to tell you, it's wonderful because now you can just have those 2 or 3 extra batteries charged up and you can just pop from one job to another easily.
I think that's the whole part of it. So just making it convenient, and I mean, because we want to encourage people to use tools, and plus it's handy, and they're always going to be able to use a drill. They're always going to be able to use hammers and screwdrivers and everything. So I think it's a great gift for a first time homeowner. So hey Larry, before we hit the break, let's remind people that you're offering specials today for the listeners, and how do they get in touch with Brown Refrigeration and all that.
So right now, we're offering some really good specials on some new Train heating and air conditioning products. So if you're interested, 36-month, no interest financing on a complete system or up to a $500 rebate, whichever one you'd like to use. We're offering $100 off on our duct cleaning services and $100 off on our Remy Halos. So you can give us a call at 901-362-1881. Or you can check us out on the web at brownref.com.
And what is your policy on Facebook? Do you like people sending pictures of their HVAC units or something? You have a pretty cool Facebook page.
Yeah, we do like our Facebook, and we're always open for reviews, pictures, comments, any kind of feedback we can get from customers. I think that empowers us to show other potential customers what we're doing for people, and how good we are. Reviews speak a lot. So yeah, share all that stuff with us. We'd love it.
Yeah, Robbie, maybe he'll bribe you with some good stuff out there too. So anyway, well, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about the Hindenburg.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I made my first chair when I was 5, but the quality of the wood was wanting.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
He never said what he did with that chair. Did he burn it? Did he rebuild it? I don't know. I mean, I appreciate his professional, professional standards. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the
non-professional standards.
I guess. I don't know. Even at age 5.
No, you.
All right, this show has been sloppy and disjointed. Welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and the interrupting Max over there behind the glass. And the man who keeps the lights on around here, Larry Brown himself, is in the house. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we do appreciate Robbie and Keith reaching out earlier. These are things we're going to ponder. Keith, I promise you I am going to do a deep dive and get to the bottom of this topic of which way do toilets flush if you're on the equator or maybe, a mile or so below. And Robbie, we will think of new ways to bribe our listeners to get them to like us on Tool Talk. I don't know. But, hey, you know what's interesting? Before we get to our great moments in building history, you remember that show WKRP in Cincinnati?
Oh, yes.
Max, that's a show you need to start binge watching.
I was
that
just
was
wondering
before
if
you were born.
I was just wondering if KRP was a vulgar acronym.
No.
It was.
Was it?
It was, because they had the WKRP of... They came up with their logo was the carp.
Well, I was going to say, the other thing is, just go on YouTube. There's about a funny 3-minute video of the classic turkey drop segment on WKRP.
That is the second funniest moment of television history.
But Larry, we had kind of a WKRP moment this morning when I got here. I was shocked to find you here before me, but and a little embarrassed because I usually like to pride myself on being the first one here. But here at Cumulus, it's kind of like that. You run around the halls, you might see some celebrity dropping in for a radio interview. You might you meet all sorts of characters like you did on WKRP. Well, you were telling us a funny story about your wife and ditch, and I thought I'd like you to tell it on the air. It was pretty good. So.
Well, I don't want to embarrass my wife too much, but anyway, so we were, you do the home improvement show every year. You guys have a booth there.
At the Agri Center.
At the Agri Center, right. Yep. So my wife and I came to the show, and I'm not sure if I was on the air that day or not, but we were walking around the show, and we came back by your booth, and Ditch was there. So I said, hey, this Ditch is my wife, Teresa. This is Ditch. And, she's a big fan of Ditch. And she didn't really talk to him much.
She's like, hi.
We
Ditch,
left.
yeah.
And I said, well, that was Ditch. She goes, I thought you said Mitch.
She's a fangirl.
Yeah. So she was kind of upset that she didn't have more conversation with him. So anyway, maybe that's how I'll lure her to the show. Next time is I'm going to tell her she could beat Ditch, and then she'll maybe come to the show.
It's funny that
with Ditch's permission, obviously.
For those of you don't, Ditch is a radio veteran. The guy's traveled the country. And the funny thing about Ditch is he's very low key, but he knows a lot of people. He's like, oh yeah, I was talking to Steve Miller the other day, and blah blah blah.
Been there, done that.
He knows rock and roll. He knows the radio business inside and out, and he's sort of a local celebrity. But to meet the guy, well, he doesn't dress like a celebrity. I'm just going to say, sorry, Ditch, but
neither do you.
Yeah, but I think that's funny that she came face to face with somebody that she admired, and she blew her opportunity. So
right. Well,
that's another reason to get her in here. Ditch is here almost every Saturday.
I know, and she's a huge fan of rock music, especially older rock music. So and Ditch has been around again the community here for many, many years.
Yeah,
and it's a big, he's a big. Fan of rock music himself. So she wanted to meet him, and I thought it was really funny. She kind of got upset that, she goes, well, why didn't you tell me that was Ditch? I said, I introduced you.
Yeah.
And,
I don't know, man.
So I don't know. But anyway, I'll lure her in next time that I'm up here to meet Ditch.
Maybe she was judging a book by its cover. She's like, this guy looks here like he's changing the plumbing or something.
Hey,
I don't know.
Don't ditch Ditch, okay? Come on.
Ditch is the only guy that dresses worse than I do. I'm just saying. So anyway,
he's a great guy.
We love Ditch,
and we're glad to have him. And he's and again, he is like a living.
In a minute, he's going to be in the window
local.
telling us to move on.
Yeah, he's going to get it off. Anyway, hey guys, okay,
you guys can't see him, but I can.
Let's shift gears. We've been teasing this all day, but it's time to get to our big story of the day. So, wait, I just cued Max.
In building history.
There we go. Okay. That was today's show. Can we fix this in post, Max?
That would be it's live, Joe. It's
okay.
live.
Well, this one, honestly, you and Max sort of concocted this, and I was thinking, okay, we're going to talk about the Hindenburg, but also Zeppelins in general, because as Max said, there's another Zeppelin that really deserves praise because it had a immaculate safety record and everything, but
I'm like, also an immaculate travel record too.
Yeah, so I guess we're basically Zeppelins, and part of the reason is because we always talk about sometimes what was old is new again. I mean, Zeppelins are actually making a comeback. Zeppelins deal with gas, Larry. They deal with chemistry. They deal with technology, building. So we feel like it's a fair salute for great moments in building history. But who's going to kick this off? Because you guys sort of spearheaded this. So.
Allow me.
Okay.
So today we're going to talk about the Hindenburg. And what's very interesting about the Hindenburg is that it's it was also called the LZ-129, not the most impressive name, but it follows after the success of the one I feel deserves more praise, and that's the Graf Zeppelin, because it has one of the more storied track records when it comes to travel, because that baby flew all around the world. The Hindenburg only really flew around from Germany to America, and then from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. Its travel record was more of a triangle, more transatlantic. But it followed after the success of its brother, the Graf Zeppelin, and Hugo Echner, by the late 1920s, was like, you know what? I think we're going to build even bigger and badder. And so let's invent us this baby, the LZ-129, the Graf Zeppelin. And it originally was going to be designed with helium, but America at the time, had the monopoly on helium. And they're like, no, we're not willing to share our helium with you. So it's like, all right, now we're already
kind of rid of Adolf Hitler, maybe, but go ahead.
We're already setting the table for disaster and everything. Kind of an eerie foreshadowing, because it's like, all right, we'll just use hydrogen and everything, because hydrogen is it's a little lighter than helium, but it's definitely not as safe as helium.
Because that's the thing. It's filled. Hey, I had a question though. Didn't you say the Graf Zeppelin clocked over 1 million miles? I mean, think of that. It traveled Over 1 million miles.
It flew over 1 million miles, and it lasted longer than the Hindenburg because the Hindenburg only lasted a year.
And those things only travel like 100 and something miles an hour. I was impressed by that, but I don't know, Alan. And by the way, what's the something von Zeppelin that?
Ferdinand von Zeppelin was
what a great name.
Yeah, he was the grandpappy behind all of these Zeppelins.
I thought Zeppelin was a scientific name. I didn't know it was named after an actual guy. I mean, the guy's got the coolest name in the world. And he's cool looking, too. When you see him, he kind of looks like a Zeppelin.
He looks like the Monopoly Man.
He does. So, but Alan, what about the construction of Zeppelins and just,
Well, let's use these as kind of the portent to our modern world.
Okay.
Because new materials, new technologies really came along to make this possible.
Sure.
So let's back up to silk. Silk is one of those remarkable materials that's stretchy. It can keep you warm. It can keep you cool. It's very, very durable. It's hard to pierce. It's a great fabric.
Does it hold air? Like, could you make a silk balloon?
Well, that's what people were making.
Oh, boom.
The silk was so much lighter and so much stronger, and this is an ancient technology. But now suddenly people went, if we put hot gas in this, it'll float. So we have kind of the beginning of the balloons. But a balloon is really kind of at the mercy of the world around it.
It's hard to steer a balloon, right?
Yeah, you kind of
You've been in a hot air balloon, right, Larry?
Yeah, twice.
You go up, and they have advantages. They have a lot of disadvantages. So here comes Mr. Zeppelin, who goes, what if we took some of this new stuff we've got, and mostly he was talking about aluminum.
I didn't think of
Back
that.
in the day, it was called Duralumin.
Yeah,
and it was
Duralumin
blue.
or aluminium,
Aluminium,
depending
as
upon
they
where
say
you
in
were.
Europe. Yeah.
If you permit, real quickly, I'm going to mention the British and everything. So I just wanted to give a fun, brief historical interjection about the Duralumin used for the Hindenburg. And the Duralumin used during the Hindenburg was actually recovered from a previous wreckage in 1930 from the British R-101 Zeppelin that crashed back then. And so 5,000 kilograms of Duralumin was recycled. And so this is kind of an eerie portent about where the trajectory of the Hindenburg.
Wait a minute. The metal that they took for they melted it down from one that had already crashed. Well, that is sort of eerie.
So welcome to new manufacturing capabilities with also the ability to decant gas.
What do you mean? What does decant mean?
Where did the hydrogen come from?
Oh, so they get it out of where does, I don't care where it came
from. The air.
Okay. So they pull it out of the air and stick it in this balloon.
You decant. Decanting is the removing of something or separating of something. So now the chemical process is, for instance, on commercials today, if you have breathing problems, you can buy an oxygen concentrator. Where does it get its oxygen? From the air sitting around you. It pulls a little of it out and pumps it through the hose and gives you a little more oxygen than the person sitting next to you.
Sounds like the moisture farmers on Tatooine.
Again,
right? Star Wars. It always comes back to Star Wars.
We can tie them back in pretty drastically here. So here is this new lightweight, strong metal, and they began experimenting with different kinds of cloth. And if we coated the cloth just right, it became a semi-rigid idea, and now we had gases available. And next thing you know, we got a rigid framed aircraft that could float and fly.
Yeah.
And if you permit me, I'd like to give some of the impressive statistics of the impressive statistics of the Hindenburg. Hey, this is a joint effort on Allan and I.
I know.
Yeah,
no, it's great.
So
I've never seen Max this excited about a topic. This is great.
It's a great topic.
I love Zeppelins. Anyways, so the length of the Hindenburg was 803 feet.
Yes.
Its diameter was 135 feet. And this is the statistic that Joe would like. Its gas capacity.
Talk to me.
It's 7,062,000 cubic feet with a lift of 511,500 pounds.
Wow.
And a cruising speed of 76 miles per hour.
Can I just want to interject one little thing because, you see the Hindenburg and you see these big Nazi symbols on it. Well, one thing to keep in mind was it was before World War II, but also didn't you say that Zeppelin refused to sponsor? Or like he was a rebel, right? He was funded. It
was funded by the Nazis, but Hugo Echner, like kind of as a big middle finger to Hitler, because like even though it was used for Nazi propaganda, they were going to originally call it the Hitler, but Hindenburg, Echner was like, no, we're going to call it after the past president as a middle finger to like this whole Nazi regime.
Yeah, so just keep in mind these guys weren't Nazis flying it, but okay, anyway. I digress.
Well, let's get to the other idea that they had. The other idea was we're going to have to step back to women's hoop skirts.
Oh,
let's take a look at a hoop skirt. Now, a hoop skirt was originally made possible by whale boning.
Okay.
That is the baleen from a whale was already a natural curve.
Right.
So this was a lightweight, semi-rigid material that you could make a hoop or make a bell shape out of. So this idea begins to propagate as a semi-rigid world properly constructed is very, very strong. If you want a perfect example of this, look at the inside edge of a piece of cardboard.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
And it's mostly air.
Cardboard's pretty sturdy.
There's actually very little paper in there.
Yeah.
But for its weight, it's incredibly strong.
That's true.
So here we are now colliding of gas dynamics, thermodynamics, weight, shape, design, aerodynamics. So we're just bringing together dozens of technologies are all colliding here. And we've got the ability to make a bag airtight enough to hold a gas.
Sorry, Alan, but you triggered a good idea here. So, okay, was Zeppelin's thought process along the lines of, okay, well, a hot air balloon is great, but for one thing, you can't put much in it. You can only put a handful of people in it. You can't steer it, So by building this rigid form, by building it bigger, you can put things in it. You can put more people in it. You can attach an engine and propellers and things to steer it. And suddenly now you've got a manageable. It works off the same principles as a balloon, but
keep in mind an airplane at this time is still a very primitive, heavy lead falcon kind of thing.
Wait, was a Zeppelin before the airplane?
Well, you're growing up together.
Okay.
Right. Airplanes are in development, but airplanes have a huge problem of the size of that engine versus the lift.
Right.
Now, we're taking care of the lift with 7 million cubic feet of a gas that's lighter than air. So a much smaller engine, an airplane engine, could be mounted on the bottom, and it could now move hundreds of feet. And to give you an idea of the opulence of a Zeppelin, of one of the items on the Zeppelin was an aluminum piano. I mean, that's how opulent we were getting to. So when you actually have a piano bar, a lounge, as a part of this craft.
Yeah, when you travel in a Zeppelin, you're traveling in style. You had a bedroom.
You weren't cramped in the back of an airplane.
Although the tickets were $7,000 by today's standards.
Yeah. It wasn't cheap, but your option was take a boat.
Yeah.
At this time. So
it was faster than a boat too.
It was. Yeah. It was far more luxurious. And here's the other thing. You were enclosed. So I get to look at Larry and go, basic air management systems were being developed for this because you had to breathe inside the Zeppelin, but you were not breathing the hydrogen that floated the Zeppelin.
Larry, I bet if you did some research, I bet you could trace some of the developments in HVAC technology to Zeppelin. I mean, I bet you there's a connection back there
Possibly.
somewhere.
I know, obviously they had to have a separate compartment for the passengers that had a higher oxygen content, because we couldn't survive at
that height,
in the hydrogen or helium, either one. So you'd have to have some kind of separate passenger compartment. It's kind of like the blimps of nowadays. You see the cockpit and all's hanging at the bottom, so it's separated from the actual blimp part, and so they're in an oxygen-rich environment there. So.
Now, the great moments in building history that we're after is the actual aluminum lattice that made this thing the semi-rigid construction that made it possible.
See, that's what I was thinking of that too, Alan, because when you talk about the structure, okay, it's great to have a bunch of gas bags with holding it, but
right.
But the having a frame that can hold it, and it has to be light. You can't make it out of steel and things like that. And I feel like there's even tie-ins with the way we construct things today of making it more
like
3D printing,
sliding roof or an Astrodome,
right?
Or scissor lifts or anything that needs that kind of construction and matrix. Think of almost anything based on a buckyball.
Yeah,
Buckminster Fullers came up with the idea of nature and its bubble and how a bubble could be designed, but you have to have, in this particular case, a light enough lattice to do the job, but still sturdy enough to support the weight.
It's interesting. And I mean, plus a circle, just the structure, I don't know, it's very interesting.
Well, and that's
the
exactly
geometry involved in designing a Zeppelin.
You brought up an interesting question about what did the sound of the Duralumin piano on the Hindenburg sound like, and I actually have an actual audio broadcast if you're curious about it.
Can we get sued? All right, hit it real quick. Okay. Whoever's playing it doesn't sound...
Sounds like a piano.
I mean, okay.
It's also video quality from back in the day versus now.
Yeah, well,
but it was
back in
okay. Anyway,
so the biggest
that's
thing
revolutionary thinking, though.
Looking at the Cross X, if you look at diagrams of how Zeppelins were built back then, or how a blimp is built now, or even you get to look at the diagrams of how a modern Zeppelin is being designed, and it is still the Cross X format.
What is a Cross X format?
That's where you have basically your little box, but we all know a box from certain directions is incredibly strong. However, from certain directions, it's incredibly weak.
Yeah.
So think like a fence.
Right.
When you put up a fence, you've got, if you just put 4 boards up there, the fence wobbles and gives.
Right.
But if you put an X cross through the center of it, now suddenly it has dramatic rigid strength from all the directions you need it to have strength.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the reason why, like in old cottages and old houses and everything, you see wood, but you also see X shapes all across the house?
Yes.
That keeps the studs from swaying. It does make a huge difference.
It just provided that tiny little bit of rigidity without adding a lot of weight. Now, in the modern world, we have greatly refined the process of aluminum.
Right.
We have all different grades of aluminum. We have everything from aluminum foil to what we call aircraft grade aluminum.
And carbon fiber as well.
And now we're getting into our carbons and Kevlars and all of the layering capabilities. So a modern Zeppelin that we're getting back to, because a lot of reasons, they're aesthetically pleasing, they look good, they don't make a lot of noise, they're very fuel efficient.
Because all you're really doing is it's a propeller, more or less, that you're,
It is, but
to move.
The capability with our knowledge now, and especially the computerized capability to control tiny nuances of the craft.
Yeah.
Before you had a pilot with a joystick, more or less. Basically it was some kind of manual instrument tied to a human, and that's how you felt what's going on. Ask any race car driver, and they will tell you the amount of information they feel through their body from their race car. But now we have a computer that can make micro adjustments in milliseconds. So the ability to control it and the ability to get the lift really kind of starts to drive home a point Larry made earlier about, we gotta move a really big piece of something. I'm gonna pick on the space program.
Yeah.
We need to get this rocket booster from point A to point B. We ain't got to do it fast.
Right.
Well, why not just have the right amount of Zeppelin power, pick this thing up, and now you avoid the limitations of being able to travel with the parts on a truck or on a train.
I feel like it's worth noting, though, before we get out of here, because we only have a few minutes left, about how it went up in flames.
Oh, okay. Well, that's debatable, though, right? They thought there was some static.
You get into St. Elmo's fire. The one thing we have learned drastically in the ensuing years, of, especially like if you drop a line down from a helicopter.
Yeah, it creates
it. It will. They grab it with a grounding rod now because the first guy that went and grabbed one of those things got the bejesus shocked out of him.
Yeah.
So if you watch people do high tension wire work, there's a lot of grounding that we do now that we didn't really know about because sometimes you needed to be grounded and sometimes you didn't.
Right.
The atmosphere when it was trying to dock, keep in mind the dock is way up in the air like an antenna.
Right.
There was a lot of moisture in the air. There was a lot of energy moving about. The poor Zeppelin had to make a number of maneuvers to get into place. During these maneuvers, it's theorized that it ripped open a hydrogen bag somewhere. Therefore, it allowed hydrogen to mix with regular air, making it very, very flammable. And at this point, the smallest spark, whether it was static or St. Elmo's fire or whatever popped, was going to make a flame happen.
Okay. Hey, well, I wish we had more time, but we don't. But the thing is, the reason we bring this up is because the Zeppelin is making a comeback. You might even see it, believe it or not, on construction sites. You might see it in delivery.
There's one that looks like a flying butt.
You might see private Zeppelins. You can cruise around, little air-powered things. So they are coming back. We'll probably discuss it a little bit, in the future.
The format, the framework of this thing, you will see the framework to this in buildings and construction all over the world.
And our good buddy Larry Brown from Brown Refrigeration told us off the air he's getting a fleet of Zeppelins for
Absolutely correct.
Larry, real quick, how do they get in touch with Brown Refrigeration?
Give us a call, 901-362-1881, or you can check us out on the web at brownref.com.
All right. Well, it's time to get out of here, you guys. What a weird show. I make no apologies. It is what it is. We'll see you next week on Tool Talk Radio.